Welcome back, and joining us now on the show is former Agricultural Secretary Siraj Hussain. Mr. Hussain, thank you so much for joining us. Well, June has ended with below normal monsoons. I have the latest numbers until 28th of June, and the monsoon was 14% below normal. July and August, while are expected to be on the stronger side, I mean, at least that is what the IMD tells us, that we have La Nina now, which is going to be supportive. I want your sense on the initial sowing numbers as well until 28th of June, where we're looking at paddy unchanged, but we also are looking at some concerns when it comes to crops like perhaps sugarcane slightly. Oilseeds has seen a gain there, but coarse cereals have seen a bit of a decline coming in. How are you looking at all of these numbers?
Actually, Manisha, the monsoon in the month of June has been rather good, I would say, because the northwest states of India received only 78 millimeters of rainfall in the month of June. The major amount of rains which come in the month of June is in South Peninsula, 161 millimeters, and Central India, 170 millimeters. And the good news is that in the Southern Peninsula, the rainfall was 14% more than the normal rainfall, so, which means that the sowing of pulses, etc., in rain-fed regions of the south would be taking place quite normally. In central India, of course, there is a 14% rainfall, but I think that is not too much a cause of worry, because that will be made up as we progress into July. In northwest India, most of the area in Punjab, Haryana, Western UP is irrigated, and the nurseries would be prepared with the help of underground water. So as far as the overall scenario is concerned, I think there should be no reason to worry.
All right. So this is about monsoon. Now let's come to the pricing part of it, Mr. Hussain. And we do understand that pulses is a bit of a concern. And as you said, the number is slightly higher than last year, and that shows into the numbers as well. When it comes to oil seeds, we are looking at a jump here as well. Markets do believe that cotton could lose some area. You could see maize perhaps gain some. Pulses, of course, is quite supportive as well. When you look at the numbers and the market anticipation, what is from the on ground that you're picking up in sense of favoritism to certain crops?
See, in the absence of futures market, the farmers have no clue as to what price they can expect to receive when they harvest their crop in October and November. Maize has gained in the last few months because a lot of maize is now going into ethanol, which is not a good policy in my view. And as a result of that, we are now forced to import maize under TRQ from Myanmar and other countries. And I understand that the prices which are being paid by the poultry industry are higher, which will ultimately show up in the prices of poultry products, and which will also show in food inflation figures. So I think the farmers would go by what happened to their crop last year, and on the basis of that, they will decide rather than any indication of future prices in October, November.
Cotton has been a bit of a concern as well. The initial numbers do show better than what we did in the last year, but speaking to various farmers and FPOs, we do understand that there is shortage of seed, one, and two, the quality of seed also is on the poorer side. And then, of course, we've seen very, very volatile previous year in sense of cotton. Do you see concerns there?
I think the area under cotton in Maharashtra has traditionally grown cotton. So I do not see them moving to other crops in a very large number. Vidarbha, for example, and other areas of Maharashtra, they will continue to grow cotton. Similarly, in Madhya Pradesh, they will continue to grow cotton. I do not see much shortfall in the cotton area, but if the government is actually able to implement the announcements which have been made by the ministers that we will procure all the pulses produced by the farmers, then I think the farmers will be incentivized to grow pulses. However, I do not think it will be possible for any government to procure the entire production.
A bit of a decline that we are seeing in coarse cereals as a sense of number, would you say is too early days, or do you think that the fight between land in various crops could lead to some decline when it comes to coarse cereals? I mean, that has been a bit of a concern. We've been looking at those consumption numbers as well, which I know you've been writing about as well.
Actually, if we see the data of the last few years, the area under coarse grains has been going down, despite very attractive MSPs announced by the government and some pickup in the consumption of coarse cereals by the well-off sections of society. So I do not think that farmers will be incentivized to grow, other than maize. Maize, I think, may see a higher number because of the good prices received in the last few months. Of course, when the crop actually comes to the market, what will happen? Because that will also depend on what is the import duty tariff at that point of time.
A very quick one, Mr. Hussain, and while of course most sectors are now talking about on what to expect from budget, but we've seen what's happened with the stock limits that have come in wheat and some of these pulses, and edible oil is asking for that duty differential to be set right as well. How would you look at, one, the duty part of it all?
I would imagine that duty on certain imported commodities needs to go up. The edible oils, for example, the duty on palm oil is only 5.5%. Similarly, the duty on other edible oils is also very low, which caused depression in the prices of mustard. When the mustard crop, Rabi crop, was harvested and it started coming to the market in February, March, April. So now is the time for farmers to sow soybean. If they get a signal that government will continue to import edible oils at a cheap rate, then it is quite possible that they may prefer other crops. Now, the thing is that these inflation numbers do not correspond with the actual production numbers. And Jan Rees and Harish Damodran have written about it. The consumption of cereals, for example, is about 305 million tons. The consumption is in the range of 275 to 80 million tons. The exports are restricted, highly restricted, banned in case of wheat and restricted in case of rice. And still we saw double-digit inflation in rice. So something is missing somewhere. I have requested Niti Aayog to issue a clarification and tell the country as to what is the reason for high inflation when the production is more than the consumption and the exports are banned.
And still the inflation is on the higher side. Well, yes, there are some things, there are some numbers that are absolutely not making sense. So if you've written to Niti Aayog, that is a clarification we would also be waiting for. Thank you, Mr. Hussain, as always, for joining us and making sense of a lot of those numbers. But with that, that's all the time we have on the show. Business Lunch will take all the action forward.